Hey guys, Jack and welcome back. And looks like the Premier League title race is going to be an exciting one. We've seen Arsenal pick up a win while City and Liverpool drop points. Uh, Obviously Tottenham lost, and I just saw one of the goals of the season. But we're going to talk about the key fixture from this weekend. It's going to be Manchester City versus Liverpool. The outcome of this game was quite what I expected. I thought it would be a draw, and I thought it would be a hard contested draw, and that seemed to be the case. Manchester City played their more possession style, while Liverpool looked to play on the counter, and they were doing that quite effectively. They were absorbing the pressure quite well, and what I thought Liverpool did really well is that they closed down the space, particularly around the midfield there, between the midfield and the defence, where Man City struggled, and while like Jeremy Doku had a bit of fun down that Liverpool's right hand side, they struggled to kind of get in behind them, and they were trying to rely on Bernardo Silva to make late runs, try to pull like the Matip or Van Dijk, out. But in fairness, credit to Szoboszlai and McAllister and Curtis Jones, they just did their job incredibly well. Like Phil Foden and Alvarez, I felt like didn't really do much, and I thought for the most part Matip and Van Dijk kept Erling Haaland quite quiet. And I know he got the goal later on, but I just thought they did really well to kind of just maintain, just not give him a lot of space. And Liverpool had a few chances, countering, but I think Ake did really well against Salah. I think he had a brilliant game. Kyle Walker obviously kept Jota very quiet, and Darwin Nunez, he was the only one who really had chances, and he was doing really well, especially against Ruben Dias. But unfortunately, his finishing just let him down, and that just was kind of the situation. While Liverpool had a lot of good breaks, they just couldn't get the finish in, and unfortunately, Manchester City picked up the first goal, and Paddy thought that might have been the case, and especially with how Liverpool were doing it, especially in possession. I thought Alisson Becker was poor. I think his goalkeeping was fine. He was quite good. Made a couple of huge saves, but his distribution was poor. And there was a couple of instances where he could have easily given away a goal, and City could have been far ahead from this, but they managed to survive that onslaught. And towards the end of the second half, you're starting to think maybe City have just kind of had to grind out the rest of this game, but Trent made a great run, kind of coming into the midfield and playing it, shooting across goal. No chance for Ederson, in the bottom corner, and he just signed a new lucrative deal with Adidas. So I say, what a way to, make yourself known to your new sponsors. And for the rest of that game, Liverpool shut up shop, and I thought they did really well in making sure, making sure that City couldn't do anything. Doku became very quiet. I thought Trent did really well to keep him quiet towards the end of the game. I think it helped that they weren't doing anything. They weren't progressing, and like Salah did have a couple of counters, but otherwise they weren't able to do much. But credit to Liverpool, I think it was a very mature performance considering what happened. Considering they went the goal down and they managed to come back into it. City, I say they'd be disappointed. Erling Haaland had a couple of great chances from corners, and that's what's going to happen. But in fairness to Haaland, he got his goal. 50 goals in 48 games. It's a Premier League record, and it is mad to think this is only his first season and a quarter, season and a half in the Premier League, and he's already breaking records. It's insane. But yeah, I think Guardiola would be the more unhappy manager out of the two, but that's just how it is. Liverpool are a difficult team, and we've got to see in this game such a high quality, and yet it's very hard to distinguish the two teams. So fair dues to both sides. Let's just talk about the rest of the games this weekend. Now we're going to go over the rest of the Premier League fixtures. First up was Bournemouth beating Sheffield United 3-1, and I thought Sheffield United's defensive play was quite poor. They made a lot of mistakes. They looked they looked out of position for a lot of the time, and I think it was really well done by Bournemouth to catch him in transition on the counter. West Foderingham obviously made a mistake for the second goal for Justin Kluivert, but I think the performer of the day for Bournemouth was Semenyo. He looked incredible, drifting around midfield, getting on the end of passes, and he was creating a lot of chances. And I think if he stays fit, he's going to be really crucial for them to get picking up points and getting up the table like they did today, or yesterday technically. Next is Brighton versus Nottingham Forest, and what a really good way to end this winless streak. De Zerbi was elated when when they finally came through with it, and it's they definitely made a meal of it to begin with. Alanga getting a goal to begin with, but Brighton fought back, got the 3 goals, and then obviously the penalty for Lewis Dunk, who subsequently was sent off for moaning to the ref, but they held out. Van Brooklyn made a great save towards the end of it. And I think they're just really happy that they finally got that duck off their back, having not won since September. And they're going to be going to this Europa League game this Thursday, with a bit more, a bit more kind of energy, I'd say. What a way to kind of come back from the international break. Disappointed by Nottingham Forest, but this is what happens. Another disappointing team was Burnley. They controlled the game in the first half, played through West Ham's kind of mid block, and Like they had chances, but they just struggled to kind of put, finish them, quite frankly. And it took Koleosho to run at the defence, concede for West Ham to concede a penalty, and Fergus J. Rodriguez, he made he finished it. But once he scored that penalty, they shut up shop, and I think that was their downfall. They took away the energy, they took away the tempo, and West Ham just over time managed to break them down. And obviously, being such a young team, they're gonna falter at some stage, and that's what happened. And just great goals. Muamba with just worked hard, and I think it was an own goal in the end. But Tomas Suchek, great finish, from across, and it's really difficult for Vincent Kompany. We'll have to kind of wait and see what happens now with Burnley, but with the likes of Paul Heckingbottom and Steve Cooper apparently on the chopping block, we don't know what's going to happen next. But a big win here for Luton Town at home. They had a bit of a scare early on, with a handball call against Crystal Palace, but they took their chances incredibly well, especially from set pieces. It's a huge win for them at Kenilworth Road. Michael Elise returning with a beautiful goal, but it just wasn't enough. And Luton, fought, and they got the result. And what a huge win! And felt so great for them in Kenilworth Road. London derby. They must have been really happy with that. I predicted a shock Chelsea win here, and I was sadly mistaken. Newcastle, despite still having a few injuries, they did get Alexander Isak back, they were still short on a few key players, but that didn't matter in this game. They came out of the blocks firing, and they did incredibly well, especially catching Chelsea on the break. I mean, Thiago Silva struggled, and obviously I think it was the third goal that he lost possession. Got the ball stuck underneath his foot, and Newcastle capitalised on it. Miley, the young centre mid, got first assist, and they looked super happy for him to get it. Newcastle just looked really good overall, and while Chelsea did quite well to break down Newcastle on a few occasions, Nick Pope and the defence did really well, and it was only really a Raheem Sterling free kick which just it seemed to bemuse Pope, and he just didn't get across. The red card for Reece James, a bit of a stupid one given his role in the side as a captain, but when you're only 22, 23, that just tends to happen. And Pochettino came out and said it was one of the worst performances he's seen from his Chelsea side. I didn't get to see it, but I can imagine how disappointed he must have felt, and it's something they're going to have to learn from. Newcastle have midweek game this week, while Chelsea are able to prepare for next week, so hopefully they'll see a marked improvement there. Next is a bit of a sad one for me. Brentford losing to Arsenal, and it isn't that Brentford lost. It is more to do with Aaron Ramsdale. And if you watch the highlights, he struggled a lot, especially in possession. Got caught a couple of times, either playing the ball out, but the first one, he got the ball stuck between his feet, and if it wasn't for Declan Rice's intervention, they would have gone down 1 goal. And then Zinchenko with a unbelievable goal line clearance then to save him. Obviously, Arsenal had the goal disallowed, from Trossard. It was an offside, but it's one of those ones you don't think it's fair. But Arsenal, they kind of held back Brentford and prevented them from getting a lot of set pieces, and I think that was really important because you've seen how well drilled they are at those set pieces. And Arsenal defended really well throughout this game, and at the end got a goal from Kai Havertz, and I'm really happy he got a goal. He's been suffering with a lot of stick really from the media and Arsenal fans, and especially Chelsea fans, but he did really well, and he got the goal, and that's all they needed. They definitely need to work on breaking down lower blocks, because beating Brentford 1-0, while it is tough, they've had difficulty breaking down these lower block teams. And to go back to Aaron Ramsdale, I think he needs to leave, because the way that Mikel Arteta looked at certain points in this game, and from my own discussions with people, I don't think he has a place. And apparently, according to reports, Raya's deal is going to be made permanent. So I think Ramsdale, if he wants to have a chance of starting in the Euros, I think he needs to leave. I don't know where, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. Tottenham versus Villa. Tottenham came out of the blocks firing, and they had so many chances to begin this game. Son, hitting the post, missing good headers. Brian Gill, I thought, had a really good game. While his final product wasn't the best, he had some good moments. And I think Tottenham should have gone into the second half maybe 2 or 3-0 up, but right at the death of the first half, Douglas Luiz with a unbelievable set piece, and Pau Torres fired it in for a 1-1. And after the second half, Unai Emery made changes. We saw the likes of Diaby come off for Bailey, and things just switched. It was very end to end, but Villa capitalised on those chances. They definitely had the better of the chances, and I just think Postecoglou would be really disappointed. And you can tell that they missed, Bentancur going off wasn't great, and I hope he is fine. Like, it's not a serious injury as he was when he missed. I think he was missed 10 or 11 months. It's just really disappointing for Tottenham having had such a brilliant start, and I think they just need to hopefully get more players back from injury. It is very difficult, in this time, especially coming into the Christmas period. But they just need to kind of wade the storm, and hopefully they'll get their players back. And last up was probably a very interesting match. Not gonna lie, Everton, obviously, with the huge protests going on regarding the Premier League sanctions. And I thought Everton would make this very tricky, and I think I said it was going to be a draw or an Everton win. But 2-3 minutes in, I was shut up immediately, where Alejandro Garnacho has probably scored the goal of the season, and I think it's probably one of the best goals I've ever seen live. It was definitely the best boys kick I've ever seen. And just ball comes across Diogo Dalot with not a great cross, but Alejandro Garnacho tracks it, comes back, and then meets it. Brilliant technique, loops far corner over Pickford. There wasn't a chance, and I think that goal itself deserved United to have the win, because it's just that incredible. But Everton didn't let that fault them. They continued to attack. They fought. They had so many chances. Onana had a really good game. I think United's defense did reasonably well, just kind of preventing them from having clear chances. And unfortunately for Everton, they just couldn't. It's been the story of their season so far. They've just been struggling to break down teams and just get that goal, get that stroke of luck. And it just Ashley Young caught Martial, and that penalty by Rashford ended the game. And then obviously a great little move between Pellistri, great pass by Bruno Fernandes to Martial, who chipped it past Pickford. And that's really good for United to kind of go 3-0 up with Ten Hag, who wasn't on the bench because of his suspension. But just an incredible game, just for Garnacho getting that kind of goal. And while United didn't play that at the best, they grinded it out and they got a 3-0 win for it. Everton would be very disappointed, and they haven't kind of pushed themselves out of the relegation zone. But they can take pride in just the way they played, and I think they just need to work on their finishing, and they will be okay. Like, they definitely don't look like one of the 3 worst teams in the division. They just need to put their chances away. One more note from this game: I thought Marcus Rashford looked poor. I think he just kept giving away the ball, and there wasn't kind of any thought going into his movement and into his play. And I just think maybe a couple of games out of the spotlight might do him good. But with the Galatasaray coming up this midweek, I think they sort of need him, and I feel like Ten Hag won't drop him because of it. But we'll have to kind of wait and see with that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take care.